Hey, hello everyone. I just erased an entire video because it was way too effing long. So, I have not done for a little while a reading wrap-up video. So I'm going to do one for you guys, and I am going to show you my handy-dandy booktube notebook. So, because I am a unicorn, I was born to be a unicorn, and I was born to be a reader, I have created a booktube notebook. So here is a list of books so far that I have read this year. And another thing that I have been doing is writing down pros and cons of books that I have read and what I enjoyed and did not enjoy with them. Because I feel that I praise books a lot, especially some of my favorite books, and maybe you guys think that I don't find fault with a lot of books, but I do. I even find fault with books that I really enjoy. So if you guys ever want to see a video about me talking about more negative things or stuff that I felt could have been better in my favorite books, let me know, because I think that would be an interesting topic. So, to get on with the reviews, some of these will have pros and cons, some of these will just have random thought, just because I'm an sayer, even though I wrote stuff down. Let's get on with the reviews, shall we? So the first two books I'm going to talk about are Goosebumps books, and there's not a whole lot to say about them except that they were slightly different than the television show adaptations. And I'm going to go on and say now that they were both entertaining and fun. And there's not a whole lot to them because they are Goosebumps books. Because believe it or not, I did not read every book in that series. So the first one is Stay Out of the Basement, which is actually number 2 in the series. And the other one, I don't remember its number, but I'm pretty sure that this one is number 2, and that is Stay Out of the Basement. So, Stay Out of the Basement is about 2 children named Casey and Margaret, who, their father, he works with plants. I'm not sure if he's a botanist or something like that, but he's a scientist who has been fired from his job, and he has been doing these crazy experiments. And he's very angry when they go down to the basement, and he's acting very strange. He cuts himself, and green stuff comes out. He has leaves growing out of his head, and his excuses are always that it's just part of his experiments. So, of course, they have to go down and explore what's really going on. So this one wasn't too different from the show adaptation, except that there were slight differences in conversation and one person that was not in the show. Then the next one is One Day at Horrorland. So One Day at Horrorland is basically spooky fun. It's about this family who is on their way to a place called Zoo Gardens. They get lost and they find Horrorland. And at first they think it's just innocent fun. They think Horrorland horrors are just people in costumes. And then they start to realize that things aren't what they seem. They're a little bit more than that. And this one completely cuts out a character because there were actually 3 kids. The 2 kids that belong to the family and their 1 friend, which is not in the show at all. And both of them are quite fun. It was a fast read, and the episode is fun to watch. So then my next book I'm going to talk about is The Elegance of the Hedgehog, which is the second book that I have read that is translated, unless you count manga. And it is translated from French, and it's told in a dual narrative first-person perspective. The characters are Renee, who is a concierge, and she believes that because of her job and her position in life that she must hide her intelligent interests. She loves music and expanding her vocabulary and classic literature. but because she is a concierge, and I guess in their way of life or culture or whatever, at least where she's at, they're not really expected to be intelligent or be into those types of things, and she feels she has to hide who she is. Then there is Paloma, who is a 12-year-old girl, and she basically sees adults as, I guess you would say, superficial, and she also has deep thoughts and is into more intelligent things. So she plans to actually commit suicide on her 13th birthday. So the pros of this book are that you have intelligent characters. You have big words and people who are struggling with themselves. The characters feel like they could be very realistic. But then the cons are such things as you really want to just push Renee. You want her to not hide her intelligence and just kind of yell at her. And then there is Paloma, who sometimes can feel a little full of herself, especially for a 12-year-old. And the story, for the longest time, these characters do not fully interact with each other, and a lot of it is dialogue. It kind of feels like, or maybe this was because I listened to it on audio, it felt like listening to somebody on YouTube talking about a subject, which I usually love, and is why I love the book. I like dialogue, and I like character-driven books. So I guess a con for people would be that there's not a whole lot going on, and it was kind of a con for me too. There is a man who moves in, I suppose you would call a Japanese immigrant, and he sort of kind of, in a way, starts to bring them together. Like, things happen where their characters start to interact more with each other. For a good majority of the book, it's Renee and it's Paloma, and yeah, they don't do much interacting. So I would have liked for them to have met and interacted earlier on in the book, because I think it starts to really get interesting and picks up more where that happens. But all in all, it was a fantastic read, and I would read it again. So the next book I'm going to talk about is A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. So this is a story of a young girl named Gemma Doyle. She's about 16, I believe. She is a British girl living in India. So it is Gemma's birthday, and she and her mother are like in this market type place, and Gemma has this horrifying vision of her mother's death, and of course it ends up happening. So she is sent off to boarding school in England, and there she meets a group of girls, and they kind of discover magic and another realm. And there's not too much more to say about it. I liked it. I like books with friendship. I like the fact that some people who were mean to others were called out. But yeah, the whole magic, the whole other realm thing, it was just very interesting. I don't have too many cons with this one. That wasn't my own fault because I was busy doing stuff while I was listening to it. So I guess the cons would be my own comprehension. But I really did enjoy this book. I liked the characters. I thought historical fiction with magic and witchery and all that other stuff was quite interesting. And this was my third Libba Bray book. I guess I really like her writing style. So the next book I'm going to talk about is All American Girl by Meg Cabot. So I only read 2 other books by this author, and I read them when I was 15. And honestly, I think I would have liked this book a little bit better when I was 15. And I wasn't looking too deeply into books. So the thing with Meg Cabot is I think her plots are much better than her actual books. So All American Girl is about a girl, I think her name was Sam. I can't even remember. Anyway, Sam is into art. She's also very into her sister's boyfriend. And that got very annoying. But anyways, she is drawing these celebrity portraits. She is drawing them so much that she is failing German. So her parents decide that she should take art classes. So she doesn't like the way her art teacher is. She decides one day to skip class. No, keep in mind that she lives in DC, so this is where it makes sense. She ends up in the same shop, I think it's a donut shop or something like that the president is in. Somebody attempts to attack him, and she jumps on the guy, basically saving the president's life. And so the book is basically about her sort of becoming a celebrity, her getting to know the president's son. I like the side characters in this book. I like the fact that they did not make the president's son this complete douchebag. He wasn't full of himself because he, was the son of the president, He was a nice guy. But the thing was that she was so annoying, especially with this sister's boyfriend thing. There was no real reason for her to like this guy. He was full of himself and a jerk, and even when that is pointed out, she still feels that the guy should love her, and she doesn't know what he sees in her sister, and that hopefully one day he'll discover that he loves her and not her sister. It was just so fucking annoying. I wish it was told from the point of view of somebody else. This book could have been so good, but this character I wanted to smack so hard. So fucking hard. So, the last book I'm going to talk about is Legend by Marie Lu. So, Legend is a young adult dystopian novel that is first in a trilogy. I have not read the other books yet. And it is also told in a dual perspective, from the point of view of June, who is basically a prodigy, and she lives in the Republic, which is basically the elite. And then there is Day, who is from the poorer side, and he's like this kind of child criminal mastermind type thing. And he lives, I think they were called the colonies. So basically, stuff happens where the worlds intertwine. It's that kind of, it's entertaining, but it felt like there was a lot of cliches. It felt like it could have been better. It wasn't horrible. It was entertaining. You felt like you wanted to get to know the characters more, and you want to know more about what's going on, but as parts of it you felt kind of let down, because you felt, or at least I felt, that there should have been more. That while, it's an average sized book, part of it felt kind of empty. So, in my Q&A that I will hopefully be doing soon. Don't worry, I've not forgotten about that, you guys. I was just hoping to do more stuff to get ready. One of my questions, and a very good question I got, was why I liked the Hunger Games the way I do as compared to other dystopians. So I feel like that series has kind of cursed me in a way that it's very hard to like books that I've read after it, even though I was liking Divergent and I have to go back to it. I was actually really liking Divergent. So before that, I read Unwind, which kept me in fear and suspense and touched on a very sensitive topic. And then The Giver, which is just a beautiful book, and it's heartbreaking, and I don't, this is not promoting the book, but if you haven't read The Giver, you need to read The Giver. Okay, that's just true. But I tried reading Reboot, and it just felt like they tried too hard to make a badass female character. And I tried reading Article 5, and it just felt like Christian bashing and a weak character. Maybe one day I'll give those books another try. Legend, on the other hand, it felt like it had potential to get better. It didn't feel like she tried to make June like this total badass and everything. And Day, this hate the rich people type kid. Someone on review said it felt like it was written by a younger person, and it kind of comes off that way. Like, the idea was good, but maybe not written all that good. So I don't really know how to explain it. Like, it wasn't terrible. It's worth the read, but it's not fantastic. It's not. It just felt like it went by too fast. Whereas something like The Hunger Games or The Giver, even though they're not massively big, they had a lot of depth to them. They had a lot going on. They had a lot of things that really made you think. And I think what was lacking in Legend is that we didn't have a whole lot of background. There were things that didn't make sense. Like, June and Day's worlds are not completely separated. Like, they're not forbidden, really, as far as I remember, from interacting with each other. So the fact that June didn't know about these things, that she was kind of clueless to certain things, no one ever mentioned it to her, she never ran into anybody else like Day, it was kind of unbelievable. And just that she was this awesome prodigy and stuff, and then Day knew how to do this and that, and he was like this criminal, and part of it was kind of unbelievable. But it was still entertaining. I think it leaves room for improvement, and I can't really judge the series because I have not read it yet, so I'm hoping that the next one will be better because I think it's good enough to want to continue. So anyways, that is my wrap up. I made it a little shorter, guys. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye.